AJ Reilly was born in Metro Detroit to a Baptist preacher and a stay-at-home mother. He began writing after the death of his grandfather, the man who became the inspiration for his debut novel, The Askren Boys. He and his family live in the Metro Detroit area, and here to read now is AJ Reilly.
As was stated, The Askren Boys is inspired by my grandfather. The scene that we're going to pick up on is on a farm in Indianapolis, Indiana, 1944, where Ray, the narrator, has just received a letter from his brother who's on the front lines in Europe. It didn't take long for us to figure out what that big thing was. 5 days. 5 days from the day I started reading the newspaper and read Ralph's note is all it took to find out exactly what he was getting ready for. I came downstairs for breakfast on Tuesday, June 6th, just like any other run-of-the-mill day. Nothing was overly special about the day neither, just another Tuesday. But by the time I laid my head down that night, I would learn that this was not just another Tuesday. At breakfast, Mom had prepared a hearty meal with eggs, biscuits, and some jam. The bacon was sizzling in the cast iron skillet, and it smelled delicious. I poured myself a cup of coffee, loaded my plate, then did the best I could to imitate my father. "Could you pass me the newspaper?" I asked. "Sure, here you go," he said. I opened it up and on the front page read this headline: "Invasion on, Nazis say, unconfirmed by Allies." I continued to read the report. The War Department said early Tuesday morning that it had no information on the reports by the German radio that the invasion operations had begun on the French Channel coast. There was no immediate Allied confirmation. I stopped reading and looked in Dad's direction. "What do you think this means, Dad?" I asked. He knew exactly what I was talking about and simply said, "It means we finally started moving in on them Nazis." I went back to reading the report. Eventually I put the paper down, knowing full well that this is what Ralph had mentioned in his letter. Not only were the boys overseas, but were clearly engaged in battle. Best of luck, boys. Give them hell, I thought, making sure that I didn't speak too loud for Mom to hear my language. In the field, all I could think about again was the invasion operations that had begun. What's happening over there? Are the boys okay? I kept thinking. Eventually, I had to find a distraction, and since it was around noontime, I went and grabbed my radio from the bedroom to turn on the baseball game that afternoon. Anything needed to distract my mind from going all sorts of crazy places. After eating lunch and grabbing my radio, I headed back to work. Dad was going to be leading the horses while I rode the plow. We had decided to team up to slow down the work for each of us due to the heat. I fired up the radio so we could have some music to listen to while we worked, because sometimes the silence was maddening. No sooner had we started to enjoy the music than an interruption was made and an announcement broadcast across the airwaves. We interrupt our programming to bring you a special broadcast. The German news agency Transocean said today in a broadcast that Allied invasions have begun. I repeat, the German news agency Transocean said today in a broadcast that Allied invasions had begun. There was no Allied confirmation. No sooner had we heard this interruption than Dad said, "Quick, turn that up." So I did. We stopped exactly where we were in our furrow and just listened. The reporter continued. Could be one the Allied leaders had expected would be made with upsetting patriot plans inside conquered countries. This bulletin has come to you from the NBC newsroom in New York. There is no Allied confirmation. It was at that exact moment I saw something I had never seen before in my life. My father was standing with the reins to his horse clenched in his right fist, and his left hand was up towards his face. Extending from the hand were his thumb and index finger placed over both eyes, gently massaging each of them. "Dad," I said. There was no answer. "Dad, are you all right?" I asked again. Still, Dad just stood there, almost like a statue, rubbing his eyes. Then he turned to me, and it was clear why he hadn't said anything in response to my question. Our boys, Ray. Our boys are in trouble, Ray," he said, and the tears now flowing down his face. "Our boys, Ray. Our boys are in trouble." And that was the first time I ever saw my father cry. Thank you.